What's going on? How's it going? You know, I dig this music. I really do. I think it's kind of fun. So how you guys doing today? We're here, and I think we got everything. So what's happening, everybody? How you all doing today? We're here again. It is now, what is it? It is the Thursday, September 23rd, and the 8 o'clock hour has been falling upon us. So we're here again, bringing to you live coffee and cigars. Is it loud enough? Because, you know, it sounds kind of not so loud enough in my ear. I don't know. Maybe it's all right. It's all right. What's going on, everyone? I'm Jay. It's great to have you here tonight. It's another Thursday. We're doing coffee and cigars, as always, on Thursday nights. And, yeah, today we're doing some coffee from Uganda, and some coffee from some cigars from Nicaragua. So that should be quite interesting today. How you all doing tonight? Where are you? And what's going on? And Brian's asking, new lighting? No, well, I mean, it's a little bit different in that it's brighter, right? It's brighter. Maybe I should make it a little bit more moody. Oh, that's too moody. Whoa. Let's go to 3.2. So if you're a techie kind of person, we're running ISO 400 with a 50th of a shutter. I should probably increase that to 200th of a shutter, but whatever. And 3.2 on the f-stop. So it gives us this kind of look. So the lighting, you know, the lighting is pretty much the same as it always been. Maybe just a little bit different tuning in the camera. But yeah, how's it going? So Brian, if you did you get the oven installed yet? Still waiting. I know it was raining yesterday, and it was raining this morning, but you know, hungry tummies are waiting. Anyway, so we're here, and what's happening? I don't know what's happening. What is happening? It's colder today. It got cold a little bit here in Baltimore. I don't know how it is in your part of the world, but and now he's at the Casa de Major. Excellent. Or should it be Hacienda de Major? And still no install. What are you? It'll be cold by the time it gets started. Now we're at the point where we're probably wondering, like in our group, like the question is, what's going to finish first now, the pizza oven or the deck? Now you can sabotage the deck so you finish early. Anyway, so we're here, and what's happening? What are we doing here? Oh, let's just get into the coffee right away. It says, why waste time? So a couple weeks ago, right before we went to New Jersey for the live stream at the Davidoff Lounge, I was invited to a coffee event at the embassy of Uganda, and so down in DC. So I went down there, and they had this coffee tasting, and the guys from the tasting were kind enough to give me this coffee to try. This is Uganda coffee. I believe that, you know, and I don't really know much about this coffee. And it's not for sale, as you can see here, not for sale. So I think these are promotional samples published by my friends at the UCDA. You can see this logo here, the Uganda Coffee Development Authority. And yeah, so I work with the UCDA pretty much on a yearly basis, doing the judging for the barista competitions and all that down in Kampala. And so they're always my hosts, and we always have a good time. I really enjoy going down there. And so here's their coffee, and we're gonna try it out. And so let's hear what they say. They have some things here they're saying here to make a good cup of Uganda coffee. Ensure that the coffee brewing equipment is cleaned thoroughly. Okay, that's a bit of a problem. Use 1 or more tablespoons of coffee per cup, depending on your taste requirements. Use fresh, clean boiling water between 92 to 97 Celsius. Brew for 3 to 5 minutes. Tap up with more hot water if necessary and sieve the brew. Drink the coffee while still hot and fresh. And do not boil, reheat coffee, or reuse residues. Yes, it's not a good idea to do that. And so, actually, it's really interesting. When I go to the UCDA, I usually work out of their coffee quality lab in Lugogo, which is it's not just in one of the neighborhoods in Kampala. And it's really, for me, an interesting time because part of the UCDA's mission is to control and evaluate all the coffee exported out of Uganda. And so basically everything that gets exported, they send samples of each coffee to the UCDA, and the UCDA grades and cups and evaluates the coffees and basically just kind of knows the quality of all the coffee being exported. And Uganda is the kind of country where they do a wide range of coffees with all the different export qualities, from very, very rough, difficult commercial grade to really, really beautiful specialty stuff. And so, the interesting thing from my perspective is that since I work mostly with specialty coffee, which means that we're dealing with a lot of very high quality coffees, high grade coffees, with very few relative defects, for the longest time, I didn't really have much experience with defects in coffee and, problematic things in coffee. And so I always kind of find it fascinating to go to the UCDA and ask them, like Beatrice, and say, hey, Beatrice, can you give me a sample of these different commercial coffees? And, when you look at these commercial, and maybe that's what I'll do in our upcoming episode, I'll show you these samples where the green coffee for what we normally buy for Spro is very, very clean, very even, very uniform in color, size, shape, and aromatics. Whereas commercial coffees can be none of that. It can be quite wild and just, it's very different. It's really, to me, very fascinating. So, so I'm not sure what kind of coffee we've got here today, but we're going to give it a try. And in today's coffee, Matt says we're going to be drinking mold. And Brian is encouraging me not to talk about those things, meaning the patio and patio versus pizza. But today we're using the Kalita 185 brewer. And this one is the Japanese version. Kalita is a Japanese company. This is their 185 brewer. It was actually gifted to me by my friend Raymond So in Manila. He was like, he's a distributor in Manila. He's like, hey man, have you used the Kalita 185? And I was like, no. And I believe in the United States they call this the Wave. I think they call it I call it the Wave. I believe they call it the Wave in the United States, but 185 elsewhere. And Matt's saying that doing the Wave at home is also having the Wave. Excellent. And so it's a bit different. While it looks very similar to most pour-overs, like the V60 from Hario, it's very different in that it doesn't have a single orifice at the bottom. It actually has these 3 small holes at the bottom, and it's all stainless. And then there's a little bit of a riser on the inside that keeps the filter raised from the holes so that the water, the coffee can flow through. This particular one has a little bit of an occlusion, as you can see at the bottom of the Y here. It's a little bit off in the way they brazed it on there, so it's slightly covering that 3rd hole. Does it affect it? I don't know. I've only used this a couple times. And then it also uses a different type of filter, whereas the Hario, while they have their own proprietary one, there is a way to hack it to get the to use the Melita number 4 filters, whereas this one uses a basket cone filter. This is what they call they also call it the Kalita 185 filter. So it's very simple, and you just basically put it in here, right? And it fits in. It's a little bit tight, but it fits. It holds in. Yeah, there we are. And Brian's asking, I can bring my green beans over for our coffee trip from our coffee trip. There's both quality and ruffalo. Oh, interesting, interesting. Ooh, those would be interesting to try because Brian came along to the SCAA show back in Atlanta when it was in 2004. So those beans are quite aged, and I do wonder what they taste like. All right, so what are we doing? We got to measure. We got to measure. All right, so let us get our little stand here. And we got to measure out, we got our scale. So I'm going to put the scale up here. Turn it on. It's on now. This is the AWS, or it's like the IMI. There's there's basically a lot of these out there, and this is a 2,000 gram or 2 kilo scale with a 0.1 gram resolution, and these are like $15 on Amazon. They're really affordable, and they work really well. Actually, I've had this one since like 2011. I don't use it a lot, but I've had it for a long time, and yeah, it works well. It works great. It works great. All right, so we need our little measuring cup here. We got our coffee from Uganda. Now let's have a look and see what the aromatics are like. Ooh, heavier on the kind of chocolatey notes. Maybe a little bit of a dirtiness to it. But let's see. Let's measure out. We're going to tear. And we're going to measure, of course, 24 grams. Whoa. Oh, no. That's a little bit too much. Whatever. No, we got to go back. So the core, it's a fine grind. There we go, 24 on the money. It's a fine grind. Oh, look at that, and relatively light, especially for African style roasting, which is normally a lot darker. This is fairly light. It's got some nice cacao notes, a little bit of spice, maybe a little bit of cinnamon. Not bad, not bad. Kind of like warming spices. And Di wants to shake the box. Matt's very pessimistic about the coffee. Let's be optimistic. All right, so now we're gonna put it back into our filter here. Shake it around. When you smell defective coffees like Bustelo and all that, this I think is a little bit better. I think it's a little bit better. All right, so we're gonna have our brewing kit. All right, and since we have we're using the Kalita 185, we're going to use the Kalita Kettle, also given to me by Raymond. So very thank you, Raymond. Raymond's been he's been texting me, trying to get me to come out to New Orleans next week for the Specialty Coffee Trade Show, and I was actually planning to go to New Orleans for it, and then a couple days ago, I received an email from Hotels.com letting me know that the hotel had canceled my reservation because I think what happened was with the hurricane, the hotel was damaged, and so the hotel is actually closed. So, no New Orleans now. All right, so let's get to brewing. All right, so we're going to pour coffee or water in, start our timer. Just wet it down. One thing about this Kalita is that the pleats on the filter kind of get all in the way. But now that I pushed them to the side, they're staying there and they're relatively being, calm. Okay, can we see better? I wish there was a way to see better. Maybe when we finally get to the new studio, we will have overhead cams that you can see more of what's going on here. So it looks like the grind that it has is giving good resistance. Oh, and Rusty's here. What's going on, Rusty? I don't know if you guys knew about this, but Rusty was just in Indianapolis last weekend, where he was campaigning to become the next U.S. AeroPress champion. And so he advanced through, 2 rounds, I believe, and then unfortunately was eliminated. So our 2015 U.S. AeroPress champion was not able to reclaim his title in 2021. But it was great to see you out there competing, and I hope it was a good time. So Matt says, nicer with coarser in Kalita for me. Hopefully, we'll see. Hopefully. Unfortunately, the coffee they gave it is pre-ground, so I don't really have a control over that. So why is it pre-ground? We could complain about that, but these are really, I think these are really promotional coffees for regular people that don't have that may not necessarily have all kinds of brewing gadgets and multiple grinders in their home. Yeah. All right, so we're rolling. How much coffee do we have here? I don't know. Still going. So because this Kalita, let me sit back down here. So because the Kalita has those 3 very, very small restrictions, because the Kalita's flow is very restricted by the 3 holes at the bottom, and it's a flat bottom, it reduces the flow. And as we may have talked about in the past, the coffee brewing is really about the resistance of the coffee to the water, right? And how long that water is exposed to the coffee. And in this case, there's a lot of restriction, which may or may not be a bad thing. That's why I'm using the timer to see how much time has elapsed. Right now we're at 3 minutes. We're coming on 3 minutes, 30 seconds. And, we're right around 310, 320 milliliters. And we still have quite a bit left in here, 337. So we're going to let this continue to flow through. And basically, so what I typically will do is that we're using standardized quantities of water, coffee, and temperature of water. And so typically, like right now we're at 4 minutes, and we still have coffee inside. Yeah, there's still a little bit left. So it's telling me that for this particular brewing method, the Kalita 185, this coffee is a little bit too fine. We wanted the coffee to have finished brewing by this point, and now we're going to expect that it's going to have a little bit of over extraction because it's taken longer, greater exposure of water to the coffee. And so typically when we're dialing in our brewing, we're looking for that kind of formula, 3.5 to 4 minute total brew time. And so in this case, if we're finding that it's pushing 4, now we're getting closer to 5 minutes, then if we actually have coffee that we can control the grind, we're going to coarsen the grind slightly. Okay, so there, it looks like it's relatively done. All right, so just under 5 minutes. Rusty says he made the final 12, then eliminated. Oh, that's all right. That's all right. You had the Skyline chili. That's the most important. That's the best bit of it all. And then Brian wants to know, why were you eliminated according to the judges? All right, so let's look at the coloration. I mean, it looks not bad. Let's get into the cup and find out. I don't know if Rusty's already run away, but so typically in the AeroPress Championships, what happens is that you've got all the competitors, and everybody's kind of in this round robin format. Now, to be honest with you, I'm telling you my experience from 2012 when I competed in that championship. And basically, what happens is you've got all these people, and let's say like there's 4 at a time. There are 4 in a group, or 3 in a group. Yeah, 4 in a group. Let's just say 4 in a group. And so you have 4 minutes to prepare your coffee and deliver it to this table of judges. And you're given these special vessels that are marked on the bottom to know who you are, right? But otherwise, they're all the same. And so the judges don't really know whose coffee they're tasting. So basically, once you're finished, you deliver it to, I think we deliver it to someone that's actually going to take it to the judges' table. And I think there are 3 judges, at least when I did, there were 3 judges, and they basically taste the coffee and point to the one that they like. And if you get the more points, you win. And so it progresses round robin style all the way to the finals until you reach a champion. So I'm not sure exactly. I imagine they did it the same. They've done it the same way since. And last week in Indianapolis, I believe they did the same way. But we'll have to wait till Rusty gets in his car to let us know. All right, so let's have a... it's relatively neutral smelling. Like a light spice, a light cinnamon. Oh. Oh. All right. Let's be honest. This is some rough coffee. This is rough. There's some sharpness to it. There's some harshness. There's a strange tingling sensation. It doesn't have the... Okay, so when you go to places like the diner, for example, let's say you go to the diner, Waffle House, Ashan Cafe, any of these diner places, and you have their coffee and you drink it black, it's very dirty in that there's an earthy muddiness to it, right? There's that sense of earth and dirt on your palate. This is not that. So it doesn't have... Well, I guess that makes sense because, CBB, so a lot of that earthy dirtiness comes from what we call CBB damage, which is coffee berry borer, or in Spanish, la broca. And the little berry borers eat through the beans and damage it, and then the flavor of dirt and that dirtiness typically comes from CBB damage. This doesn't have that. This is actually, and I think that's probably because I don't think CBB is much of a problem in Uganda. And so it's not that. It's got this, there's a sharpness, like a sharp, kind of bitter, relatively unpleasant taste on it. Like this is the kind of coffee you would probably like to have cream and sugar with. Oh, Matt, you're probably right about this one. And Di says UK may remove the ban on imperial measurements, ounces versus mils. I thought they had imperial measurements there. I thought it was their measurements. you know, pounds, stones. Or are they forced to it in the UK? Oh, I don't know, whatever. But anyway, that's good. Although, you know, in many respects, it is easier just to do metric. Half of my world is metric. Oh, and Mark says, ooh, Kalita, look. Yeah. So we're, like I said before, we're drinking this promotional coffee from the Uganda Coffee Development Authority with the gorillas. I like the gorillas. You know, I really would love to see the gorillas. So I've been going to Uganda now for well over a decade, practically most every year, and I have yet to go see the gorillas. Even I mean, I was even in Rwanda at one point in Kigali, and I did not see the gorillas. Actually, every time I'm in Uganda, I ask, like, what's it cost to? You have to go on like a safari on a trip, and you have to get, I think you have to get licensing and all this, and it's always like 800 plus. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. And 800 plus, and there's no guarantee you'll see the gorillas. You may go out in the field into the jungles, and you may never see a gorilla. How disappointing that would be. But the gorillas, they're just kind of awesome, right? They're just awesome. The gorillas. Gorillas are a really big identity, part of the identity in Uganda and even Rwanda, I've noticed. So this coffee, a bit on the rough side. And Matt says, let's give the packaging an A on your review and leave it at Yeah, I hear you. Ah, my goodness. Okay, let's move these out of the way. So what's happening out there with everyone? Are you guys smoking or drinking, or what are you smoking or drinking? Where are you? Inside, outside? Matt, how are things down in Florida? Things are always kind of crazy. How's the pandemic down there? Because it seems like it's bad. But I don't know. All right, welet's get into the other reason for our existence on Thursday nights. We're going to be smoking our cigars. So again, the cigar of the week comes from the tobacco leaf. And when I say it comes from, it means we went there and buy it because we like to support our friends, Rahul. And also he's got a new deck. So, you know, if you haven't been there yet, they have a deck, outdoor patio, and it's all fenced in, so it's nice and secluded. And over the last several weeks, they've actually installed this motorized, not roof per se, but kind of like this cover that will open, and it's got heating, it's got all this stuff. I haven't been there yet, but maybe I'll go there this weekend. I have to go there soon because I need to re-up on our cigars, because this is the last one in our series that we have planned, and I don't really have anything left. So we will have to do that. Matt says, orchestra back to work. Difficult enforcing people who won't vax. You mean within the orchestra itself, there's a lot of anti-vaxxers? That's always too bad. Thoughts and prayers. No, maybe not. I'm not that gracious. Anyway, this is the Warped Cloudhopper number 485. And 485 because this is a 5-inch by 48 ring gauge cigar. Is that considered Robusto? I don't know. And so while the MSRP is $6.30, this one was $7.95. You know, the Maryland OTP gets a little bit pricey. So let's take it out of its cello. And this is made by Warp Cigars and Kyle Gellis. And Kyle's also a big coffee guy. He really loves coffee and pipe tobacco, and a really interesting kind of thing. But nice. It's a little bit dry, like, you know, it doesn't have that oily sheen. It's a little bit on the dry side, but smooth. Nice color. It says something on the back that I can't really read. Maybe it'll read here. Kyle Gillis. Maybe it just says warped. I don't know. I can't read it. I have been, I've been working in our new studio area trying to get all these LEDs mounted. And, when you cut the LED strips and you custom arrange them, you have to wire them and solder them. Oh my gosh, I can't see it anymore. So these like little tiny solder stops, I have to solder, not blind, I can see where I'm soldering. I can see the solder clearly. However, for me to see the detail, I got to take a picture with my phone and then zoom in to make sure that I didn't like cross over and short circuit the strip. It's really terrible. And Matt says a few won't get the jab. They need to work with us in the end. Some people like Brian's workplace, if you're not vaccinated by November 1st, you're fired. You no longer have a job. Oh, and Brian says that hopefully it's better than the Curavari. Brian, you've been having a lot of bad luck with some of these cigars. All right, light manure, light barnyard, not heavy barnyard. Some of the cigars we had very heavy barnyard. This is light on the barnyard. Then we're going to give it a cut. We're going to cut it with the Xikar MTX, my 2014 Xikar. Nice. So here's the cut. Ooh. Not bad looking. So the cold draw is it's relatively benign. It doesn't feel like there's a lot really going on in the cold draw. Well, that's all right. We're time to light. We're using these beautiful Davidoff matches that we got from the tobacco shop up in New Jersey. I'm wrong. No, that's light. I'll talk more. Brian says his company extended the total vax from the 1st to the 15th. Ah, suckers. Fire them all. All right, so long matches. There we go. All right, so the initial light has a bit of a bite. Something I'm a little bit concerned about because, when I got this latest round of cigars, I bought them all at one time, almost 2 months worth of shows. And this is the last one from that bundle. And, while I'm keeping with Boveda packs, I wonder if it does have an impact. Like, it feels a bit harsh, like the smoke is harsh on the palate, on the tongue, as though it's like, as though it's like it's almost dry. It doesn't feel dry. The cap had a little wobble when I first did the cold draw. The Dice says, hopefully it's not like the coffee, hopefully. But typically from Geller, it's not. His cigars are usually quite nice. Well, at least if the cigar is bad, it came in a nice... That's always the plus. So the cigar is starting off sharp. Bit of harshness. There's some nice tobacco flavors, but it's kind of occluded by the harshness, and I'm wondering if it could be, dryness of the. So the official name is the Edition 1 Cloud Hopper number 485, made in Nicaragua, in Esteli, at the Tabsa factory, the Tabacos Valle de Jalapa, the Aganorsa guys. And so Aganorsa, Kyle and them at Warped have always worked with Aganorsa and have done a lot of cigars with them. So that's pretty much their main factory. And for this cigar, it features a Corojo 99 wrapper from Nicaragua, along with Nicaraguan binders and fillers. And I believe the fillers have some Corojo 99 as well as Corojo 98. 99, 98. So these came out, I guess, in 2017. And now that first light harshness, it's starting to dissipate. But it's still a little bit there. But now I wonder if maybe it could that be the tobacco they're using? I wonder. Anyway, like I was saying, these matches, I've always had an affinity for these matches for a long time now. Like in 1997, I was working on a movie called Enemy of the State, and I don't know if you've seen that. It's a Will Smith, Gene Hackman movie. And the director was Tony Scott, which is Ridley Scott's brother. And Tony did movies like Days of Thunder. He did he do Top Gun? He did Top Gun. A lot of big movies. He did the True Romance. And a lot of big movies. And he worked a lot with Jerry Bruckheimer and what was Bruckheimer's former partner's name? Oh, now I can't remember. Oh no. Simpson. Bruckheimer and Simpson. And so we're working on the movie Enemy of the State, and Tony's the director. And Tony is a lover of Monte Cristo number 2 Habanos. Like, the guy smoked Monte Cristo number 2 Habanos day in, day out. No matter what time we started, no matter what time we finished, that guy smoked nonstop through entire production day. Whether we're working 12 hours or 16 to 18 or 24 or 20 hours, that guy was smoking. Which also meant that it was a smoking set. So we used to smoke on set the entire time. It was fantastic. Like we wouldn't smoke like inside the stages. Or did we? Yeah, we wouldn't. Tony would smoke pretty much everywhere. But, whenever we had a time, we could smoke, and there would never be a problem. And the key grip was telling me, I'm not the key grip, but the prop master, who's worked with Tony for many, many years by that point, was telling me he's the one that procures the cigars for Tony. That Tony spent like $250,000 a year on cigars, and I think he bought them all from Fox in London, right down in just off of Jermyn Street. Cigars have always been expensive in the United Kingdom, and so he bought he always got his stuff there, and nonstop. And so Tony was adamant. Oh, no, he must have bought it at Davidoff or I don't know. He had the old Davidoff matches, right? The ones that were like in the bigger, wider box that had that colored wood. And he used those. I remember one of the early times on the shoot, he was like, "Hey, man, he's like, Jay, you need to try these." All right, Tony. They were pretty awesome. I was like, this is awesome. $5 in 1997. I was like, $5 a box for cigars. Who's buying that? Yeah, I was buying that. But they were awesome, and these are actually still quite good. I'm really pleasantly surprised. And then Di says, it was a sequel to the conversation with Gene Hackman from this. You mean Enemy was a sequel to Conversation? I didn't know that. I have not seen The Conversation, but I have worked with Gene 4 times on 4 different movies. I first worked with him on a movie called Absolute Power with, who was in that? He was the president. Oh, well, I think that was the one with Clint Eastwood. Yeah, Absolute Power with Clint Eastwood. Murder at 1600. Maybe he was the president then. And then we did, I worked with him on Enemy to State. By the time we got to Enemy, he kind of knew who I was because he had seen me so much. And then not too long after, a couple years later, I did a movie with him called The Replacements with Keanu Reeves. Actually, I just found out that Keanu, for The Replacements, took a pay cut so that the budget could be adjusted to accommodate Gene's salary. Interesting. But good times on the Enemy of the State set, because the director was an adamant cigar smoker. I was a cigar smoker. My key wasn't on that show, but a lot of the other keys were, so it was like Cigar Fest. Hollywood Cigar Fest. What a good time. I think it was Tony that told me that I should have that it was a mistake not to have accepted the invitation letter to the Grand Havana room. All right, so we're smoking along into the first third. There's still that bite. There's still a bit of a bite, a little bit of sharpness. I still haven't figured out if it's really due to the storage condition or just the cigar's character yet. But actually, why don't we go have a look at what some of the other guys are saying. We'll go to Half Wheel. Here's Half Wheel. This is their review of the number 53, which is the Corona size. Which same blend, just a different size. So it's going to be a little bit different. Oh, where is it here? As with the first sample, the newest edition, Cloud One, covered in rustic milk chocolate brown wrapper. That's true. That's what I mean. Firm when squeezed. Yeah, a little bit firm. Yeah, definitely. Aroma from the wrappers, combination of strong oat, leather, barnyard, dark chocolate, black pepper, sweet fondant. Oh, wow. Again, I hadn't got none of those. Just, well, barnyard. Barnyard, yeah. Cold draw, flavors of earth, hay, oak, cinnamon, leather, slight spice. I don't know if I got any of that. Immediate after lighting, the flavors start coming hot and heavy. Yeah, hot and heavy. Bitter dark chocolate, that could be the bitterness. Creamy oak, leather, and toast. Toast. Along with a little fresh hay on the finish. A little bit of black pepper noticeable in the retrohale. Along with just a touch of spice in my tongue. Yeah, nice floral sweetness. Flavor that becomes more dominant in the profile. All right, that's he's talking about the second third. Who else is out there? Smoking Pipes. What do they have to say? So, evidently these Cloud Hoppers are a collaboration between Kyle and his younger brother, Devin. And it's a homage to the brothers' love for travel. What do they say here? So, these guys are just customer reviews. Burns evenly, excellent draw, notes of coffee, nuts, mild spices. Needed touching up. He got creamy notes and fragrant. Not too much there. This got red lips and cigar sticks. Gorgeous medium brown wrapper, medium bodied blend that offers an array of fruit and molasses. Toasted sugar, almost marshmallow profile. Wow, what are they getting? Toasted sugar? Could be. Maybe like burnt sugar. The Cigar Dojo, again with the Corona. The Dojo. Let's see. Red peppers and chili spice are at the forefront, followed by freshly cut grass and darker tones of black peppercorns in the tongue. While the taste on the tongue is dark, the retrohale shows brighter tendencies of buttered toast and crackers. Butter, toast, and crackers. Maybe some toast. Maybe a little bit burnt toast. Most samples had smoking draw on the firm side of medium. It is only slightly tight, producing a medium smoke output on double puffs and light output on single puffs. Who does single puffs? We talked about this, didn't we? We talked about this. I don't know who does single puffs. The cigar's construction is among its highlights, showing razor straight burn. Yeah, it's burning nicely. That's true. Passing the cigar's first inch or beyond, the spice begins to dwindle. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. I hope so, because I'm not really enjoying that harshness, that sharpness. And if that's the spicy they're talking about, I'm okay with getting past that. Smoking not bad. A little bit uneven in the burn. Ooh. If I switch back and forth from the StreamYard controller to the YouTube controller, there's quite a bit of a separation between the two. So I don't really know how soon you actually see this. Like from the time that I speak to the time that it actually shows up on your devices, I don't know. Anyway, so I was just the other day, yesterday or this morning, I was online on Facebook, and I came across Michael Herklotz, and Michael's post was about Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he says, "This can't be real." I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you. Let me show it to you. Here it is. So, evidently, Arnold. Actually, let's watch the video. We'll put the video on. So, we'll put the video on so you can see it. All right, so basically, the story is that Arnold, back when he was in Mexico City shooting Total Recall in 1989, well, let me explain to you. Let's see if we can. Let me know if you can, if you can't hear it. This is on cigarfashionauto.com.
When I was doing Total Recall in Mexico City in 1989, I went to a 5-star restaurant and I ordered a cigar. Then I took the cigar from the humidor and the guy took it out of my hand and he says, whoa, whoa, whoa. Before you go and smoke this cigar, let me do a little bit of spicing it up. And I said to him, what do you mean spicing it up? So that's what he did. He took a cedar from the humidor, tore it off, and then he went and he poured some tequila.
Arnold Stamm.
He took the tequila, put it down, and took this cedar.
Okay, what cigar is that? Look at that cigar. Like, I've never seen that cigar. Look at that interesting barber pole style wrapper.
Inside the tequila and started stroking the cigar. Oh, he was like all over the place.
What is he stroking?
All the way down and making it nice and moist, the cigar. And then what he did was he rolled it. He rolled it. Then he went to me like this. And then up. You can't have it yet. He lit it. He went through this whole song and dance, and I just love watching everything. Now, when it was like lit, he was putting it into my mouth, and he kept lighting it. Then, he grabbed it out of my mouth again. I said to myself, this guy's an idiot. What is the matter with him? And now, he took it, and he put it into the tequila. And then I looked at it and I said to myself, that's a good idea. He went back and put it in my mouth. Oh, just like that. And I went, oh my God. this cigar. I said, what cigar is that? Is this a Monte Cristo? What is it? He says, it doesn't matter. He says, after what I have done, it doesn't matter what cigar it is. It's Cuban or Dominican Republic or where it is made, it makes no difference. He says, because now it's a tequila cigar. In this case, of course, a Lobo cigar. I just learned something in 1989, and since then I've been doing that for guests. I love doing that because it's such a good spiel. Think about that. I mean, and the cigar tastes so good with that tequila. You can also use rum, or you can use vodka, whatever you want to use, whatever you're into. I happen to like tequila. Are we talking now? Huh? You have to admit, that's cool.
Only Arnold can do this. And Brian says he's doing that now with the Curavari. If you're not enjoying it, you might as well give it a try. But, you know, it's interesting, like this. So I saw this on Michael. So Michael posted about this. Let me get out of that, and then we'll go to Michael's. So Michael posted this. What? This can't be real. Watching the recent. So people were pretty up. Oops. Oh no, let's go back. So let's have a look at these people. This has to be a prank. Tell me a joke. Nasty. It doesn't matter what kind of cigar. They all become tequila. Has anyone done this? Is it legit? That's an interesting one because I think it is because, you know, we used to do that when we were younger, like in the 90s. Like 95 or so, we would go out and dip the tips of our cigars in port wine. My friends and I were really into the port wines. Actually, my favorite port wine is this thing called the Quinto do Vesuvius. They always seem to be making really good stuff. This one guy, Martin Coleman, says, I think he's just trying to sell tequila. Terminator actor and former governor is an investor in Lobo 1707. Ah, there it is. There it is. Then this other guy, Heath Rubel, writes, a few years ago at Club Mac, Georgette Passari and I experienced something similar and surreal. Two hotshot wannabes came in and sat down next to me at the bar, ordering the latest and greatest deal. 2 cigars, 3 scotches, probably Macallan. They proceeded to toast each other, brought them the cigars, third scotch. These idiots took their cigars out of the scotch and tried to light them. To say they were blown up and fat with the scotch, they just soaked up as an whoa, they put the whole thing in the... Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Dario Molinari says, everything in this video should be illegal. And Di even agrees. It almost felt like a Norm Macdonald. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so my question, you know, so you see there's a lot of people involved with Michael's talking about it. And, you know, my question, well, there's a lot. There's a lot more. So you can, if you check out Michael's, you can see all of the commentary. Oh, here, Andre Bornkratz Diaz says, this is sadly pretty common with old timers in Europe, especially because most of the cigars back in the day were dry boxed since humidors wasn't a thing. So before cutting the cigars, you lipstick it to rehumidify the cap so not to crack while cutting. Then a lot of people dip their cigars in spirits to get extra taste. But I've never heard anyone say paint the sides. That is just crazy. But my question to Michael was, why are we so shocked about this, especially since no one seems to be as shocked about cigars like the Drew Estate acids? And if you're not familiar, Drew Estate makes this acid line of cigars that has lavender flavoring infused into the tobacco to give this lavender flavor characteristic. And Michael took the time to respond. He says, I suppose the difference is Drew Estate makes cigars with the intention of having a specific flavor. The filler tobaccos are treated such that the flavor is added, and then the cigar is manufactured and aged. In this case, you have a presumably perfectly good, properly manufactured premium cigar that was not intended to be flavored, but enjoyed as is. And then after the fact, stroking tequila all over the cigar to get it nice and moist. Moist cigars don't burn well. Arnold actually clearly said it right at the end. It doesn't matter what kind of cigar it is, Cuban or Dominican, after what I just did to it, it's a tequila cigar. But I'm sure that wasn't the intent of the blender who created the tobaccos, but the people in the time and create the cigar. But it's Arnie's cigar now, and yeah, that's true. If it's your cigar, you want to do anything you want, go for it. But that's something that we used to do, and I thought that it's interesting. It's interesting now to see that one guy point out that Arnold is an investor in Lobos. So does he really like? I mean, maybe he really likes tequila. That's why he's investing in it. Thinking about it myself, I don't know if tequila has the notes that I would prefer to have in a cigar to match it. And I can't imagine. I can only imagine he's at some fine dining place in Mexico City, and this guy is just slathering it with the tequila. Maybe we'll do that for a future episode. Which cigar do you think we should use for the tequila treatment? And which tequila? Jose Cuervo? You know what may be interesting? When I was still living in Hawaii, we used to take Jose Cuervo Gold, and we would infuse it with this thing called lihing moi. And lihing moi, for those who are not familiar, is what's known as cracked seed in Hawaii. It's also basically dried preserved plums from China, from a Chinese style of, and these are kind of the kind of candies kids would eat in China and in Southeast Asia and whatnot. And it was exported to Hawaii. But we would, or one of the popular conventions in Hawaii is to take the Cuervo Gold, and you take the lihing moi and you put it inside a bottle, or I would actually put it in a jar because you can't really fit them in the bottles because the neck and the plum seeds are like that, right? And you leave it there for a couple weeks, and it would give this kind of like reddish, pinkish coloration and this sweet plum flavor to it. And man, it used to. So when my good friend Danny was going to leave for the Air Force, we had a going away party for him. And we were just shooting that tequila with that lihing moi tequila with like either straight or mixing it on ice with like 7-Up for like sipping. I was so hammered that night, I don't even know how I got home. And Di says, lihing moi vodka. Ooh. But the vodka, one thing about the vodka though is that I think that would be great. But what I liked about the tequila, like, it gave that tequila-ness to it, or that flavor of the tequila. I think that might be nice. And I kind of wonder, like, if I took something really nice, like maybe the Dragones, or maybe not Dragones, that's just very expensive, but like, there's a whole bunch of different tequilas that I've had from going to Mexico that maybe would be really interesting. But for me, it was interesting because I saw Total Recall when it came out, of course, in the 80s. But I was watching it again. I think I was watching on HBO or something. Well, no, I think I downloaded. I was watching it, and I was watching the 89. Because that's what it was. I saw the remake. Not bad. And then I thought, maybe I'd be watching the original. So I got the original. I watched it. And I had no idea it was done in Mexico City. But I'm watching it, and I'm like, and so there's one scene where Arnold's running down this road, and there's this huge, like, elevated circle that he runs into. And I'm like, man, I remember watching it. I was like, that looks incredibly familiar. And I couldn't think of where it was. And then it finally hit me. I was like, God, that place looks like Insurgentes, which is this major road in the western side of Mexico City. And it runs north to south and kind of runs through the areas that I stay in, which is Roma, Condesa, that area. And so it's actually really close to to the Condesa Doctores kind of area. And I just remember seeing it. I was like, God, that looks like. And then finally, at the credits came, they said they've shot in Mexico City. I was like, oh man, that makes total sense now. So the cigar, still smoking well, still has that spiciness. That's the sharpness has gone away, but the spiciness remains. It's not bad. All right, let me I think we need to evolution with our drink. Because I hate to say it, but that coffee is just a bit too sharp. Brian says the Curavari Maduro brushed with cedar, rolled, toasted, lit, and dipped in Padron silver. All I had on hand. Oh, and how was it? How is it? How's it going? The Schwarzenegger style. You know, I'm in the mood now because I'm all like excited about this. It makes me want to do it myself. And I do think it's time to move to a different libation. We'll bring back our stand. All right. Here we are. We're going to be drinking the Crook and Sweeney rum, 23 year. See, I'm more of a rum guy, as you guys all know. And I wonder, like, should I, if I was to try this thing with the tequila, the Schwarzenegger style, should I try it with tequila or with some kind of rum? Oh, you're very welcome, Di. The joint just for you, just for you. I think I do like this Crook and Sweeney. I think, for me personally, I tend to favor rums that are a little bit sweet. This one's kind of in that wheelhouse, the Diplomatico, as well as the pirate, not the pirate, no, I can't remember. The Hamden to me is definitely sharper, you know, the Hamden rum. I wonder if the more regarded rums are more regarded because they tend to emulate more whiskey characteristics. Which I'm not really inclined towards. However, there are some rums like the Don Papa, which is a Philippine rum, that are what I think are very sweet. Like, to me, the Don Papa is too sweet. I like a little bit of sweetness just to kind of round it out and make it smooth, you know? That's my thing. And this one, nice. A little bit of sharpness, a little bit of astringency, but nice vanilla, clean vanilla tones. Light caramel, maybe a little bit of molasses. Even light floral tones. Oh, and I forgot, Brian was asking a question here. Plans for Livestream 100 party? Maybe we should do the party for the 100. Unfortunately, it's going to be a little while. Like, we're only, so what's 100? So we are now 61. So we are 39 episodes away. So 39. If I did better with my SATs, I probably would be able to do this in my head. So we're still 10 months, almost 10 months away from that. So we're looking at what, 10 months? November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. So probably not till July. But yes, we can have a big party. All right, so Brian's chiming. He's reporting in about his Curivari Maduro that has brushed with the cedar, rolled, toasted, lit, and dipped in Padron silver. And he says, I now taste coconut, and that makes the cigar better. Oh, nice. I'll follow up once I hit brushed area since I didn't brush where I'd be lighting. Oh, so you're starting again. Okay, summertime. Yeah, we can have like a beach party. You know, now you gotta spend the next 10 months buffing up and like getting the six-pack abs and the Adonis belt. That would be a major accomplishment if I could get that done. Adonis belt. First time I heard that, I thought there was a designer named Adonis. So the burn is still going. It's a little bit uneven. It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm not enjoying it like I'm not enjoying it as much as, let's say, like that Imperial Jade Toro. Oh my God, that was some killer smoking. Actually, I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but that Imperial Jade, probably the best cigar I've had in the last couple of years. Like, it was stellar. I actually have one more of the torpedo shaped, pyramid shaped, and I want to smoke it, but I'm a little bit apprehensive because, you know, that Toro is so awesome. Will this be similar? You're like, oh, you kind of worry about it. All right, let's go to the mailbag. I didn't have too much arrive this week, but this week. So last month I mentioned to you guys that I joined the Privada Cigar Club, much to the dismay of George Brightman. But I thought, you know what, why not try? Why not join? Why not open myself to smoking cigars outside of my realm? You know, because if it wasn't for this show and wasn't for these kind of things, I'd probably be smoking like, you know, Revenges all the time. Revenges and Tatuajes, and I just would never leave. But this gives me the opportunity to try things that I might not normally have tried. Di says, yesterday was Equinox. Did you balance an egg up? Oh, no, I didn't even know about that. And why do you need to balance an egg during the equinox? All right, so let's get into it. I need my box cutter. So the Privada Cigar Club is based out of Orlando. I wonder if that means that they're anti-vaxxers. Oops. I know that Rusty's also a member of, and this is their farm rolled series. Evidently their normal Privada Cigar Club is sold out, and they have a waiting list, but they had the farm rolled, and I thought, oh, you know what, I might as well join. And I like to have the way they have the imprinting on the inside of their boxes. That's kind of nice. And they have like their own printed bags. That's cute, farm rolled. And they give you a little sheet that talks about the cigars. All right, so, this month the spotlight is on Aganorsa from Paul Palmer in the group. All right, so we have 4 cigars. Let's have a look. And Brian now has to balance an egg. Don't balance the egg. Don't let the egg. Get the pizza oven finished. The oven. We need to get to the oven. All right, so nice thing. They pack with Boveda, which is nice. Nice touch. Pretty bags, Boveda. And here we are. We have 4 cigars. Oh, the cost I think the cost is $26 a month. So not bad, like $6 a piece. That's not a bad thing. And Dice says same amount of daylight night balance. Days now get yeah, great. That's all we need. Shorter days. So we got 4 cigars. You can see the color variation. Let me see if I can do it in a way so all the numbers line up. Whoops. All right, here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have the Ultra Premium, the Boutique, Limited Edition, and the Exclusive. They look like cigars. They look pretty good. From Aganorsa, so you're pretty much sure they're going to be at least quite nice. So let's see what they say here. On the number 1, the Ultra Premium is Tabsa Nicaragua, Corojo 99, 5x50, with notes of leather, earth, coffee, hay, and berry. Berry. And then they say it's an afternoon cigar. Number 2 is their Boutique cigar. It's a 5x50 Maduro with hazelnut, floral, barnyard, and red pepper. And they say it's an evening cigar. The number 3 is a Connecticut 5x50. Vanilla, coffee, almonds, and they say it's a morning cigar. So I'm going to guess it's a Connecticut shade. And then their exclusive, the number 4, is a Habano wrapper, maybe Ecuadorian Habano, maybe they're growing their own Habano. 6x50, nuts, pepper, spice, cream, and wood. So it says the Farm Spotlight, one of Central America's largest tobacco growers. Here, I'll show you. Owned by Eduardo Fernandez and his son Max, and creator of Telepizza, Spain's largest pizza chain. After becoming worth hundreds of millions of dollars, Eduardo returned to the roots of his Cuban ancestry. He went on a mission to find the most fertile soil for growing tobacco outside of Cuba. Then import Cuban legends like Arsenio. He means Arsenio Ramos, who had passed away a couple years ago, to Nicaragua. Blenders, mentors, farmers, all the best of the best made a new home for themselves in Nicaragua. Aganorsa leaf is named for the tobacco leaf grown on their farm with tradition, with love, with passion. Their strength is in their leaf. Yeah, and it's really a shame. Like Arsenio Ramos was amazing like talent for cigars, but really just an amazing person. Like we hung out with him in Nicaragua once or twice. And then every time I would go to the show, I would see him, we would hang out and talk a bit. Of course, my Spanish is terrible. So I would have to make do. And, Senor Ramos was very accommodating to my poor Spanish. It's kind of like talking with Esteban Disla from Roma Craft, they're very gracious with my weak Spanish. So, okay, there you go. So I'm going to try those. I'm looking forward to trying them. I guess I should report. Last month's Privada Farm Rolled was focused on the La Zona factory. And one of the things that I wrote some notes on them, but they're number 2 last week. Good flavor, but became real powerful. A lot of the cigars from La Zona, last month's La Zona, was very much about power. That kind of like, we're just going to hit you with it. And, the balance, it wasn't as balanced. I like balance in cigar blending. I don't really want to have all punching me in the face for the entire 2 hours. That's never quite as fun. So they weren't bad. But it's, like I said, it's not about like always trying to be having awesome cigars. It's nice to have great cigars, but really it's interesting to finally try different cigars. Uh-oh. Whew. This thing almost went out. Almost went out. Thought I was going to have to relight it. So, Brian, have you reached the brushed tequila part of your cigar? And anybody else out there, what are you guys smoking? Let me know. Drop them in the comments below or in the comments here. It's definitely... I think it's just overall just a sharp cigar. I think that's the blending of it. It's sharper. A little bit of harshness. Maybe not my favorite from Warped. The Garden of the Farm, that was really, really good. I think I like that one the best. Now that I had to puff on it pretty hard to get that light to come back, it's got that, it's hot. It's burning hot right now. A little bit of sharpness on the tongue because of the heat. So we'll back off for a moment, let it cool down. Ugh. Darn tobacco is falling. Ash is falling everywhere now. A bit of a mess. Right about now is when I would like to have some kind of soft drink, like maybe unsweet tea, Diet Coke or something. I tend not to be a very big drinker, so I'm not always drinking alcohol. Oh, one thing. That's one thing. Last Friday, I went out with some friends, and we went out to a place called Turcigos Country French Restaurant in Ellicott City, Maryland. It's actually a restaurant I've always wanted to go to that I've never been to. One of my friends, Sarah, she was like, "You know, I really haven't been there in a long time. We should go there." I was like, "All right, let's go." So Sarah and I went, and had a nice time. It was nice. The pandemic changed things. Like, there's no more a la carte menu. It's only a pre-fee for $80. You get 4 courses. And each of the 4 courses you can select from 4. So I started out with, what did I have? I started out with the, let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. I started out with what they call the bluefish, where they have it's house cured bluefish with house pickled cauliflower, onions, and carrots, and a tapenade puree. And yeah, that was pretty nice. The bluefish, it's a cured fish. There's the picture of it. It's a cured fish, and with the pickled vegetables, and the curing, it was a little bit on the saltier side, but nice way to start out the meal. And then for the second course, I saw that they had a listing here for fish soup, and it's a Breton fish soup with traditional garnish. And I asked our server, I said, "Hey, so is this fish soup, is it like a bouillabaisse?" And she was like, no, it's actually a Brittany style fish soup that's kind of like a puree, and which is very different than the bouillabaisse, right? So bouillabaisse is actually from the south of France, like Marseille kind of area, Marseille and that part of the country. And that was really quite nice too. Let me, where'd that image go? Like they had a nice presentation where they poured it out on into the bowl. Yeah, so as you can see, it's a puree type of dish. Yeah, a little bit more of the pouring. Yeah, that was really flavorful and just very enjoyable. So Brian says that his brushing of the tequila did not impact the burn. I imagine that's because I think to impact the burn, you probably would really have to wet down the wrapper quite a bit. And then finally, for the entree, the third course, I went for what they call the duo of beef, which is a prime confit biscuit, prime confit brisket, and Creekstone Farms hanger steak with balsamic vinegar, with a balsamic vinegar demi-glace and potato dauphinoise. And that was quite good, I thought. I thought that was quite good. Let me find it here. Here we are. There it is. Oh, let me get rid of that. Yeah, so as you can see that the rare steak there, the meat on the left side or the right side is the hanger steak, the onglet, which and then the brisket over on the other side is, of course, since it's confit, it's fully cooked. It's like, well done, I guess, and they called it well done. But confiting, I mean, that's really kind of the style of it. I really am a fan of hanger steak, onglet, although I much prefer it in the style of Le Hall, where they butterfly the onglet and then they grill it. So what that does, instead of it being this kind of like thick rope of a steak, you butterfly it so it's pretty thin, and then it cooks through fairly evenly. And I don't cook it through too much. I don't like to cook through too much. But I thought it was really, my friend, she didn't really. Because a couple of other girls were with us. One of them, she didn't really like it because she likes her meat well done. But which meant that she gave me extra onglet, so I was very happy. And the dauphinoise was not bad. It was nice. It was nice. And then finally, the fourth course. I decided to have the galette, which is a warm apple galette with a hand-rolled tart and caramel sauce. And that one... Oh, did I not get a photo of it? Oh, yeah, here it is. Here, terribly done. Terribly done. By that time, we were drinking bottles of wine. So by that time, I was probably a little bit not quite capable of taking steady pictures. Oh, come on. The cigar's going on again. All right, I'm not going to battle with it. I'm just going to relight it. We're going to do the Cirillo McLean style of relighting. I got to say, his style of relighting really is the method. It is the way. This is the way. So Brian says, this myth is busted. It's still an average cigar, but the shot of tequila was nice. Maybe when I do the, if I do the episode where we're going to be doing this tequila thing, maybe I'll borrow one of those Curvaris. So Brian wants to know, the set price for the 4 courses was $79. We ended up spending a total of $120 a person because I don't know how many bottles of wine we ordered. but I think it was called the Georges Bertrand. It was a red wine, and I drank a lot of it. Maybe we had 4 bottles. I don't know. It's a little bit of a blur as far as the number of bottles. Yes, maybe we'll try the rum for the show. Or maybe do a little bit of each. Ooh, the relight hasn't been very kind to it. Like that last puff had a strange acidity, sharpness to the on the tongue. So Di's asking, going to get the new iPhone? You know what? Interestingly enough, I was sitting here at the roaster the other night with Brian and our friend Nate, and we were talking about. And Nate was talking about the phone because he had just had a deal with Verizon where he has the iPhone 12 and they were going to give him like $1,000 in exchange trade-in for his iPhone 12, and he was going to get the iPhone 13 Pro. And I was like, and to be honest with you, I'm not one that likes to. I don't upgrade phones very often. Like I got the original iPhone in 2007. The next phone I got was the iPhone 4S in 2011, I think it was. And then after that, I got the iPhone 6 Plus. So that was a couple, maybe 3 years later. And then finally, about 3 years ago, I think it was, I went to the iPhone 10. So I don't really go that often. And like I still use the 6 Plus when I'm traveling as one of my travel phones. So I just go buy SIM cards and put them in wherever I tend to go and be for a while. So my thought is really, if I was going to upgrade to the 13, I'd probably still keep the 10 because the camera is still decent. Actually, it's interesting. So here's where I was going with that. So Nate has the 12, and he was like talking about the picture quality of the 13 and how much better it is. And I watched the Apple event. I skipped through the Apple event because I watched it after it was released because I don't want to sit there with all the verbiage. And really what I was waiting for in the Apple event, I was hoping they would talk more about new computers, like new iMacs, new MacBooks, MacBook Airs, especially with the M1, the ARM architecture chips. Band's coming off. And they didn't talk about any of that. So I was just really disappointed. Because, you know what, for me personally, I don't use an iPad, and I don't really like using the iPad, so I don't really care about the iPad or the iWatch or the headphones. And the phone is just kind of like a secondary thought. But Nate was talking about the image quality of the 13, how it's supposed to be really awesome. So what we did is we took his phone, and our other buddy Al was there with one of the newer Galaxies. So I took all 3 phones, mine, the 12, and this Galaxy, and I took essentially the same picture in the dark. So in this photo, there's guys in the foreground illuminated with like neon and like colored lighting, and then in the distance there's some trees that are illuminated with like, I don't know, some kind of incandescent lighting or whatever it is. And the difference in quality between the 10 and the 12 as far as clarity and definition, oh man, I was really, really surprised at how nice that 12 looked. And if the 13 is better, it certainly makes a compelling argument to make an upgrade to the 13. And, oh God, this thing is falling apart again. More ash on the desktop. That's making me a little bit irritated. So, maybe. What is it, $1,000 for the 128 gigabyte? And then what? If you get the terabyte, it's $1,600? Now, where I'm kind of wondering, like, I have this one's the 256, and I've never run out of space on it. Now, I don't really keep much music on here. I mainly take photos, and when I was at the Ugandan embassy, I shot an entire video on this, and it still hasn't filled it up. I'm really surprised. Like my 6 was full, and I think that was 128. But the 256 I haven't filled up. So I'm thinking, I'm not sure what size to get, because one of the things we talked about that they were talking about is that Apple's supposed to have some kind of ProRes support codec for the 13. And I've been using this new, well, new to me, it's kind of old overall. I got it used. I got this Atomos recorder that records in ProRes 422, which is an easier codec to work with in post-production compared to H.264. However, the file sizes compared to H.264 are enormous, like massive. Like I couldn't believe the size of the files that I was shooting on. I was like, oh gosh, that's kind of disconcerting, because I only have so much storage on my computer. So it makes me wonder, like if I don't know what the phone ProRes codec is going to be like, but it depends on how big the files are. Maybe it's worth going to the larger memory, maybe even up to the terabyte. And Dow says Clive Sinclair passed away last week. His work broke off into Acorn, and the R&D became the ARM. Oh wow! Oh, what a shame! What a shame. Well, I don't know really much about the ARM system. You would know more about this and that, but I must say that since I migrated from Intel to this new Mac, this M1 Mac Mini with the ARM, it's surprisingly awesome. Like what this machine can do compared to like the Intel machine. Like I have that 2013 MacBook Air. And of course, that's an 8-year-old computer now, and it's taxed quite heavily with video editing. But man, this thing is like, this M1 with H.264 codec is just like slicing through a hot knife through butter. Rusty's back. Good evening again. How's the cigar? The cigar, not bad, not great, but not bad. Like it's had a lot of sharpness throughout the whole smoking experience. It's gone out. It nearly went out completely, and then I finally did, and I was able to resurrect it and then relight it the second time. And there was a sharpness. Like a few moments ago, there was just some sharpness on this relight, but it's now smoothened out from that harshness. And so Rusty Brian wants to know, why do you think you didn't advance in the competition? Do tell us. How was that experience? Was it what you hoped it would be? Like, yeah, tell her, how was it? I mean, my experience with the AeroPress, I can be honest with you. I can be honest with you. I didn't really take the AeroPress Championship when I did it as serious as most people did. I was kind of there as a lark. So in 2012, I was helping my friend set up I was helping my girlfriend at the time set up her booth on the trade show floor, and I ran into Brent Fortune and Rahul Rodas, and they were the guys that were putting together the first AeroPress Championship at the La Marzocco booth. And I was like, hey man, what are you guys doing over there? He's like, we're setting up for the competition. We're doing an AeroPress Championship. I said, oh, you guys got any more space? And they're like, for you? No. I was like, oh, come on, man. So fast forward like maybe 20 minutes, Raul comes over and he's like, hey man, were you serious about joining in? I said, yeah, why, you got space? He's like, yeah, we can squeeze you in. I was like, all right. And, here's Rusty. Rusty says, the coffee was an Ethiopia wash from Tinker Coffee. The recipe I had just did not work with their coffee, so I had to tweak the recipe. I did, and it worked out. Ah, nice. So did you use that through all of your flights, or did they change with the different flights? Mark wants to see Alan Adler compete. Oh, I'd love to see that. That'd be great. That'd be great. That would be excellent. So, I was asking Rahul and Brett, I said, hey, so what do I have to do for this? And they're like, oh, you have to have your own coffee. And, this is in Portland, Oregon. I'm at the convention center, and we were staying at the time at that kind of hipster hotel that was an old converted motel, the Jupiter. We were staying at the Jupiter. And, the Jupiter's not terribly far from the convention center, but for me to go back to my hotel room would be a hassle. One that I wasn't willing to do. And I was like, oh man, I'm not going back there. I said, got any coffee? And so Rahul actually has his own coffee company. He was like, hey, yeah, I got some coffee for you. Oh, he rusted it back. First run was good. It was supposed to be in groups of 3, but 1 bailed. So it was head to head. I took round 1, 2-1. Oh, excellent. So like I said, the when you submit your coffees to the judges, there are 3 judges, and the 3 judges will taste the coffee, and then when the MC's like, okay, which one do you choose? Then basically each of the judges points to the coffee that they want. So in this case, it seems like 2 of the judges chose Rusty's over his opponent, which propelled him to the second round. So actually, Rahul gave me this coffee. It was an Ethiopian coffee from his company, which is called Paradigma. And I used that. And so basically, I was going to compete, and they're like, oh, you have to submit your recipe. You got to write it down. So I wrote down a recipe. And our recipe was 36 grams of coffee with 4 ounces of water, stir for like 90 seconds, or maybe it's 45 seconds, in an inverted method, and then you press it out. Do the judges explain their choice? No, they don't. They don't typically, or when I did it, they don't explain. Maybe Rusty, in Rusty's time now they do, but back then they didn't. They just pointed whoever they liked, and then you moved on. So in my case, and you share grinders, right? So at the time they had the EK43 Malconic grinder. So basically what I did is I kind of had some time. I went to the grinder that they had like a couple of them. So I went to one of the grinders and I figured, okay, I just got to figure out what grind setting I want. So I ground a few bits of coffee, figure out the grind size, and then memorize the number on the dial. And then I was like, okay, I'll go do it. And so competition started. I think we had 3 or 4 people in my round. And I went, so you have 4 minutes to make your drink. And I went and ground the coffee, put it in the AeroPress, brewed it up, pressed it out, delivered the coffee. And I delivered my coffee like within 2 minutes. And I was kind of like just waiting. So dropped the coffee off and done. And, Mark's asking, do you have to do a presentation like the barista comps? No, you do not have to do explanation or anything. It's basically all 3 or 4 of you are preparing the coffee at the same time in unison. You have 4 minutes. From the moment they say go, you have 4 minutes to deliver. And then they taste, and then they just determine who they like. It's really about who they like. And during my time, my judges was Tim Williams, Tim Stiles, and who else was there? There were a couple of judges that I knew, like personally, that were friends, and so I would be joking with them between the rounds or before the competition, even to the point where I was like, "Hey, man, $20 to win. I'll give you $20. because I was just joking. I'm not serious about that, but I mean, like, I'm just having a good time, right? I'm not really taking it too serious. And actually, I remember Rusty was there, because I think, Rusty, you competed in that too, right? And I remember there's a whole bunch of, like, people that were competing, and, like, a lot of them brought their own, like, kits. Like, they had boxes of, like, their gear. I think maybe some of them brought their own grinders. They brought their own, like, stuff. And I had nothing. All I had was this bag of coffee that Rahul gave me. So Rusty says, then came round 2. Comp was down to 5 minutes instead of, it's 8. Oh, sorry. Okay, it's 8. They called us on stage, and I was not ready. I was racing to set up. The kettle was not programmed to my liking, my error. Ah, man, brutal. Now, a little backstory on my time, right? So we got to the center pretty early in the day. And, let's see. Rusty's saying, so the water was too hot, way too hot for his coffee. Oh, damn, that's too bad. So I just kind of like did my thing, dropped off the coffee, and I don't remember if I waited until the judges made their ruling, or if I just walked away. But the backstory here is that we got to the center to set up the booth pretty early. Like, I think we were there at 8 o'clock, and I think this event kicked off at 11. So we got up early, went straight there, no breakfast. So I was actually, by 11 o'clock, I was hungry. Like, I was really, really hungry. I was like, man, I need to eat something. So I went off to the concession stand. And of course there's a line. So I'm waiting in line. And then I think Rahul called me. He's like, hey man, where are you? I was like, I'm getting something to eat. He's like, dude, you need to come back. I was like, why? He's like, you won, or you made it through the first round. Oh God, really? When do you need me to come back? Come back right now. Like, oh my gosh. So I went back. Brian says I should have Snickers. Snickers would have been nice, but I had nothing. Absolutely nothing with me. It was terrible. And so, there's probably 10 people in line. So I'm like, I got to go back. So I went back, did it again, brewed everything, left. I'm going to get me something to eat now. I'm in line again. Still the line really hasn't dissipated. There's still a lot of people ahead of me. Phone call rings again. Hey man, where are you? I'm getting something to eat. I'm trying to get something to eat. You got to come back. What? You made it through the next round. Oh God, you're kidding me, dude. So I come back, and I think because this is the first, I think that was it. And then now they were like, okay, you're in the finals. What? The finals? Oh man, really? I was like, that sucks. So I do the whole thing again. And again, like, I think it was 4 minutes, maybe it's 8, but I'm done. Like, I finished I'm always the first guy to drop the coffee because I'm done. I don't really have to, oh, there you go. Rusty says it was 8 minutes when we competed. So it probably took me 4 minutes because I remember I did it faster than everyone else and dropped it. And I was like, okay, I'm going back to eat. It does. They're totally like conspiring against me. It was really, really terrible. I'm trying to get something to eat. So finally, here we go. And that was your first. Oh, nice. Yeah, that was the first year. And so like Rusty, that's the thing. So Rusty is there. And by this point, I'm watching everybody around us, right? And all the competitors are super serious. They're like super focused. They're like, oh my God, I got to win. I got to do this. I got to do all this stuff. And I was like, good Lord, these people are crazy. And I also noticed that there's a bunch of people that I know that are international baristas, like from other parts of the world. Like this, I distinctly remember seeing this one girl that I knew from Russia. And she was there watching. I was like, why are these people watching? Why are these people all here? So we have the finals. And I remember one of the competitors was a woman, and she was like super aggro. She was like super like, I gotta do something, right? And she's like, I gotta have that grinder, the EK43, the one that I've been using. And she's like, I gotta have it. I gotta be on it. And I was like, oh God, this girl's so aggro. I'm like, this is just too much for me, man. I was like, all right, you take the grinder. You grind your coffee. I'll wait. Timer starts. She goes off to the grinder. She's messing with it, doing her thing. Maybe it takes 2 minutes or whatever. Finally, she's done. Goes off to brew her coffee. So I walk up to the grinder. Probably a couple minutes have gone by. Set the number. Cool. Brew the coffee. And do my thing. And I'm the first person to finish. I finished ahead of them because even though I started after everybody, I still dropped the coffee before everybody else. And now I'm like, okay, I'm going to go get something to eat. So I go off, get something to eat. And I was able to finally get something to eat in this time because there was a bit of time before the announcements of the winners. And I think there were 4 finalists, if I remember. And I don't know if Rusty, if you remember this, but maybe it was at 4. So I come back for the announcements, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. And then they start announcing the winners. So like 4th place. And I was like, oh. And that's when I got excited because I wasn't, I thought, well, I wasn't really planning on doing anything. I wasn't planning on, I didn't think I would make it even through the first round. Oh, here's Rusty. Rusty, speaking of bringing gear, 2015 at Nationals, 3 guys competing from La Colombe and Philly had their own effing AK-43s. But who? Yes, that was the year Rusty won. Excellent, excellent. Did you use the EK-43 as well? So they announced the first runner-up, which is the 4th place. And then it hit me like, oh, man, I'm super excited now because I get to go home and bring the bronze medal, the bronze statue to my team back home. I'm already like super stoked. I'm like, oh, this is awesome, dude. I get to bring home the bronze. And I'm like, all right, awesome. This is awesome. I'm super stoked. I'm super stoked. And then they announced the 3rd place, and it wasn't me. Oh, what's going on there? Maybe I'll get the silver. Excellent. Even better. And then they announced the 2nd place, the silver winner. Again, it wasn't me. And I was like, oh, shit. And then they announced that I'm the winner. I was like, what? I won? How's that possible? That just doesn't seem right. And that's just not right. So I ended up winning that year. And at first I was thinking, oh, I'm a little bit like, maybe I'm a bit of a charlatan. I just kind of walked in and I didn't do any preparation and I didn't practice or anything. And then it kind of dawned on me that, wait a minute, that's not really true because I used the recipe for AeroPress that we use at Spro. And it was a recipe that we developed with our baristas back in 2009. And we had been using that daily in the shop to brew coffee for guests, which is part of the reason why I was really super fast at delivering the coffee, because I was very in tune with how to brew the coffee with the AeroPress. So since I was using our recipe, I was just making coffee the way that we made it at the shop. And so it was something that I'd actually been doing for almost 2 years by this point. So practice-wise, I've been practicing for 2 years. Rusty says, oh man, I just remember one story from that year when I competed. This is 2015. We had a Bunn water tower to use and I never used it. I don't know what happened, but I ended up pouring 205-degree water on my hand and burnt it. Oh God, that's terrible. That's always a painful thing. So that's when I won. And then I realized after that, they were like, oh, okay, so here's how it works. So when you win your national competition, whether it's AeroPress or any typical competition, when you're the champion of that nation, you typically get a trip to the World Championships. So I was like, oh, a trip to the World Championships. Wonder what that's all about. And then they were like, oh, well, the World Championships are happening at 1 o'clock here. So, oh, what? I just won the nationals, and I get to stay home. I was like, oh, this is terrible. I was like, oh, this is lose money, man, lose money on that one. So, fast forward to like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock when the world championship was happening, and I used the same recipe, the same approach that I did. So here's something that at Spro we would. At the time, we offered 7 different brewing methods. We had AeroPress, pour over, V60, French press, Eva Solo, Clever, the vacuum pot. Did I say Clever? And the Chemex. So we had 7. And so what we would do is, like, if you were a guest, you could come in and order a coffee, any of our coffees, in any of those brew methods. However, we would actually work out beforehand what brew method we thought best matched with the coffees we were offering. And so if you came and said, hey, I want that Hacienda Esmeralda, we would already have a way of brewing that in our mind that we thought was the best would present that. But if you wanted something else, we would do that as well. So what does that mean? So basically, we would pair the coffee to the brewing method. In this case, the Paradigma Ethiopia was fantastic in this brew method. For the World Championships, they actually provided a coffee for us. Rusty says, no, never used an EK in my life. Baratza all the way. Nice. And they gave us a different coffee. I don't recall what it was. But to put things short, I was eliminated in the first round. Like I lost right away. Like first round in and out. And I was kind of, of course you're a little bit disappointed, but I kind of understood why, because I think that I just happened to luck out that the coffee that Rahul gave me was perfectly suited for the method of preparation we use for the AeroPress. However, that same recipe, method, approach was not as well suited to the World Championship coffee that we were given. So other people had different brewing methods with the AeroPress, and they readily won, and that makes it sense. I mean, it's one of those things that, of course, you're a little bit disappointed, but by that point, I'd already had something to eat, and I was having a good time, and yeah, all was good. And that's when I realized why all those people, like that girl from Russia, was there. It was because they were the champions of their nation, and they were just waiting to see who's going to be the U.S. champion and who do they have to beat. Oh, the Bun Store was from 2012. Oh, gotcha. Check the phone. Let's see here. Oh, Rusty just sent this to me. This is me in 2012 with the AeroPress Championship, U.S. Championship Golden AeroPress. The first one for the U.S. Not bad. I was all like happy and stoked. Nice, thanks, man. I appreciate that. So that's our story. I'm glad to see that you went up there. So tell us more about this Skyline Chili. Did you enjoy it? I mean, I might go to Cleveland soon. I'm wondering if there's going to be any in Cleveland. I was actually planning in August to go up to Cleveland to Jersey. Nice. I was planning to go to Cleveland and then go to Cincinnati and then try the Skyline Chili. But all that, trying to coordinate with some people to get that to happen just wasn't able to work. So I might just go do my Cleveland trip on my own, but as I originally thought that I would have done a while back. All right, so cigar has gone out. Let's try to relight. And Mark says to take the 3-way. But I got to hand it to you, Rusty. I think that you are a trooper. You won. You competed and then won in 2015. And then if I remember correctly, you competed once more between then and now, as well as this year. And I got to hand it to you, man. I think I think that's good perseverance, tough. It's kind of the Pete Licata approach to competition. You know, Pete, what he competed in the United States Barista Championship. What he won like 3 times, trying to make it to the Worlds and to win the World Championship. And his perseverance paid off when we were in Melbourne, or when they were in Melbourne, because he won the World Championship that year. Was that 2018? So I say keep on going. I'm a little bit different. I'm kind of one of the guys that, okay, so I was the champion in 2012, and that's it. That's it. I won. I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose. So I've already got the trophy. I'm gonna stay. It's why I won't win the World Championships. It's why I judge. How about that? So Dice says the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the house from A Christmas Story is in Cleveland. Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, there's actually, the reason I want to go to Cleveland is that I want to do this video about one of my buddies in the coffee business for the channel, and he owns a place called Troubadour Coffee. His name is Tony DeCorpo. And I don't really know him. I don't know him personally. I only know him like online. We're friends online and all that. But I follow what he does, and he's one of the few operators in America that are truly, truly focused, kind of almost a solo act. And he's doing some, what seems to be amazing stuff. And I put him up there, you know, with the likes of, with John Piquet of Cafe de Bola. You know, these are all both guys that are like hardcore and super focused on what they're doing for coffee and really just kind of beating their own drum. And I think that's just super, super interesting. So Brian wants to know if Rusty, you're an international winner, like World Championship. Rusty says he went to the Worlds and made the top 12. Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Ooh. The girl from the Philippines knocked me out in a head-to-head, and she eventually turned... Oh, I met that girl. She's very nice. She's very nice. She's very excited. But I tend not to get too wrapped up in winning those kind of things, because really, who remembers that? Honestly, like, who remembers the winners? Only the really, really ingrained into the system. My focus has always been more on providing the guest in-house with a really wonderful experience. To me, that's really if you're a barista, that's, from my perspective, that's truly the main focus of what we do, is like, how do we provide something stellar for the in-house guest? Like, you know, and despite the fact that I judge across the world and at the World Championships and get to see a lot of these great baristas around the world do their thing, one of the things that I think is a little bit disappointing is that, you know, you see these guys and they make really, really interesting and incredible beverages, but it's not something they actually bring to their menu. A lot of them will complain that, oh, like the signature beverage in the Barista Championships, they're too difficult to execute in the bar. And I always think that's a bit of a cop-out and a bit of a disappointment, because I think the signature beverage is really what makes it interesting. And if you could do that in your coffee shop setting, I think that's really where it is. Like, when I was competing in the championships as a barista, every signature drink that we would create was something that we could recreate in the shop on a daily basis. No matter how complex that drink was, we were always creating that in mind of being able to execute that live, not just for the competition. Rusty says it's a mild chili with warming spices rather than heat from chilies. It was okay overall. That's what I hear. That's what I hear. And Brian says the winner remembered. Yes, absolutely. But like 2012, I remember. A few other people remember, but nobody else does. But that's all right. Who remembers most of the presidents? (1896). Who was the president? No one knows. You have to look that up. Rusty says, I competed in 2016 and won the New York Regional, but got booted in the first rounds at Nationals in Atlanta. Also competed 2017, but did horribly. Oh, 2017 was the last one. Okay. 2021 was the first comp since. Oh, okay. It's been a little bit. Okay. I remember when you were doing that in Atlanta. Gosh, that was 2017 already? All right, so this is the cigar. This is the Cloud Hopper number 485. It's smoked all right. As always, would I buy it again? Yeah, I don't know. I think it wasn't such a experience. It was just it was an okay experience. A lot of battling with it. A bit of harshness, bitterness, some brightness throughout. Kind of faltered here and there, missteps. So perhaps not the best one. Garden of the Farm, all day long. But we got this all the way down. So I'm still trying to think about, as you look at the schedule in the show notes below, you'll see that this is the very last one that I have scheduled. So I have to go out, get some more cigars, and plan the next couple months. So if you have any ideas, drop them in the comments below. Any suggestions of what I should be looking for, trying out. I've been hearing rumors that Hirochi's been enjoying the show and has offered to maybe send us some more Imperial Jade, so that would be really excellent. Maybe we'll do a deep dive into the Imperial Jade. All right, that's good. That's good. Let's not belay the action. All right, so that should be it for this week. Thank you very much. This was the Cloud Hopper 485. And we were drinking earlier in the show the coffee from the UCDA from Uganda, the Uganda Coffee Development Authority promotional coffee with the gorillas. We love gorillas. Thank you, UCDA, and thank you very much to the Embassy of Uganda for the coffee. It's really great to try. Next week we'll be back on Thursday night at 8 p.m. with more coffee and cigars. I don't know what cigars or what coffee yet, but we'll be finding it soon. And if you also would like to talk more coffee, we're open on the Spro Coffee channel on Tuesday mornings at 8 a.m., 10 a.m. I keep doing that. I just did that in our 500 subscriber video. I kept saying 8 a.m., but it's really 10 a.m. on Tuesday. So if you want to talk more coffee, come back then. It'll be a great time. We'll try to get you some there, Brian. All right, so have a great one, and see you next time.